Hello everyone, it's Sovereign, your unknown Musa Senpai. So we're going to go over the patch notes on Musa, Black Desert Online, and it says here that Musa has been balanced in PvE to ensure that the awakened skills in Crush Crusher and Flow, the foul play, have appropriate damage outputs that match their animations accordingly. The extra attack damage of the projection has been adjusted to allow the consistent damage over time through the blade effect, which was one of my biggest problems. Yeah. The damage of Inferno Slash, which previously had the lower damage compared to the animation, has also been adjusted. That was another problem that I wanted to be buffed, which was good. These changes aim to provide more visibility in building and utilizing combos in PvE. So here they're completely talking about PvE. And you got the Snare and Slam and the Snare and Slam call. So improved so that the camera can now be rotated in the direction of the skill before attacking. Fix the issue where the camera would display Snare and Slam and call Snare and Slam differently. So now you can use Snare and Slam and adjust the camera to your own liking. Now going down to the buffs, I'm not going to go straight into all of it, but they buffed Crush Crusher from 1 to 5, Foul Play, Below the Belt, Inferno Slash, Dash Slash, Backflow, and the Projection. And it says at the bottom, as the damage of projection extra hits increase, the damage of the next skill also increases. So cross cut, attack 2, 1 step back, Inferno Slash, flow, and the backflow, blade effect, flow, extra credit, extra attacks. So projection, extra hits increase. The damage of the next skill also increases. So projection is basically going to be used as a damage output modifier. Now I PvE'd with these buffs. I can see a bit of a difference in mid-tier zones, but when I go to Hex, it is still the same problem. These buffs that you're looking at are 2019, if not 2020 buffs. Musa is so far behind now that these buffs are catch-up mechanics for Musa. I go to Hex with 311 AP, that is with a White Horn Bow, fully buffed, church buff, filler buffed, every buff that you can imagine. I've done all of it before, I know what I'm doing, know the rotations. And my Crescent Blade still hits like a wet noodle at Hex. The damage is terrible, and it has nothing to do with these buffs. These buffs wouldn't matter if it was times 3. You would still see really bad damage from Musa. So why is that? It's simple. As I said before in my last video over a month ago now, that Musa struggles with 2 big things. It's accuracy and it is evasion debuff on an AoE skill. The other things is crosscut. Crosscut does damage, then crosscut 2 does damage, then it goes into a cooldown period and there's no damage at all. I mean, there's some damage. Same with Twister. Twister does damage a little tiny bit, then as soon as you do another Twister for 3 seconds until it goes back on up cooldown, it does no damage. Now Twister is used to cancel a lot of skills. Crosscut is used to filter the damage. So if we had a AoE skill that minus evasion the mobs, and then we had maybe a little bit of an accuracy buff, we wouldn't struggle with accuracy. Now I didn't record it, but I'm actually 890, and I was finally not seeing my misses that much. It was 99% hit rate, whilst I was like maybe the 0.1 occasionally pops up. Probably more than that. It probably like, I don't know, a 5% or something, but who knows. My point is that I had to go 900 accuracy to get that kind of hit ratio. If I was 850, my hit ratio is absolutely garbage. Now, if I had an evasion debuff, I wouldn't need an accuracy accessories or crystals so much, which then means I can then use those slots to put in like more damage, like monster damage or crit, whatever the meta is these days. And from that, I wouldn't have to worry about stuff. Musa can kind of cancel the skills fast, but what Musa needs is these things. Crosscut needs to have more damage, from a 60 to a 90% damage buff. Twister also needs a 60 to maybe even 100% damage buff. And then when it comes to a skill called Snare, I think it's Snare and Slam. Snare and Slam right there at the top. They need to give this skill an evasion debuff, because this is the only big skill that has a cone sign off, not cone, a circle kind of AoE. It's like a frontal AoE that is like a disc shape. And this is like a really good skill to have a debuff on. If we had minus evasion debuff on this skill, we would actually bypass the tankiness of the hex monsters. And I will just say that it is only endgame. Musa struggles, and always has done, with endgame mobs. And with these buffs and like changes, that is what we need. But PA wants to just give us more damage. More damage is fine, but how many classes are there out there? Like, do you remember when Musa came out? It had so many DP shreds. In fact, I think it had 4 DP shreds. There might be Meagle. It was quite a while ago, but I'm pretty sure it had 4 DP shreds. It had a DP shred, an evasion DP shred, it had a magic DP shred, and then it had add-on DP shreds. And it was absurd. The damage was nutty when it first came out. Now, I think like Berserker doesn't have an evasion DP shred. I'm not 100% sure on that. But what they do have is high damage and high burst. And that's what Musa needs. It doesn't necessarily need all this stuff, but the damage is just, it just doesn't exist. Musa is only good for mid-tier or low-tier mobs, and it's really sad because the devs introduced the best rewards at endgame. You've got centaurs, that's great, but who wants to go to centaurs? You want to change it up. You want to have about 5 endgame spots, or at least 3 endgame spots and 2 mid-tier spots, or even more. Anyway, that's my opinion. Out of 10, I rate this buff a 3 because it's not what we need. We need to have those buffs that I mentioned, the evasion, accuracy, and the crosscut and twister buffs. With that, we can cancel up the skills. We can mitigate skills with crosscut. We can evasion debuff with snare and slam, and then we also can maybe get a accuracy buff, and that's going to help with endgame. That's what we need, not this rubbish.